In the book of Hosea chapter 5, from verse 1 until verse 15, we can just sum up like this. It talks about the corrupt leadership when the priests, the people, the clergy, the religious people, and all of the princes are all guilty. We talk about the spiritual prostitution that they have, and they have been unfaithful to God because of their idolatry. We talk about the pride and the self-deception. The pride of Israel even testified to his faith. And we talk about the misplaced trust that they turn to foreign power for help instead of turning to God. And because of that discipline is imposed upon the people. Now, these are the things that we are going to learn today. And because of their spiritual decline, because of their spiritual deadness, that we are going to see that they lost the passion about God. It is the gradual weakening of their relationship with God, of their passion for God, and of their obedience to God, personally or corporately. And we can see that the Israel people, each one of them, and together with their prince and the people, that they have walked away from God. And because of that, it results in the loss of love, the loss of holiness, the loss of power, the loss of their spirituality, and leading them to the spiritual and moral crisis. And especially into captivity. So let us see from these 15 verses quickly that I'm going to tell you about the decline of their spirituality and what are those symptoms that you and I can see in our daily life today, and how are we going to be reminded of the many biblical examples or characters who falls and decline in their spirituality, and how you and I are going to respond to it. In verse number 1, that you and I will become to see the spiritual decline. First of all, they become, or the Israelites become a stumbling block for others. They are corrupted and rebellious. And the book of Hosea chapter 14 verse 9 said, "The ways of the Lord are right. The righteous walk in them, but the rebellious stumble in them." And this describes exactly the situation of the Israelites. And we can see that the word of the Lord will call out to them that they are rebels, that they are already corrupted. And in Hosea chapter 5 also remind all of you and I here, "I know all about Ephraim. Israel is not hidden from me. Ephraim, you have now turned to prostitution, and Israel to corrupt." And you see that as they walk away from God, they begin to corrupt themselves. They begin to become rebellious against God. They become a stumbling block to other people because of their lifestyle. They don't walk in the righteousness of God, but they walk according to the way of the world. And that's why their life has become a stumbling block. The second thing in the book of Hosea chapter 5 talk about the spiritual decline of the Israelites, that they have spiritual prostitution, or we call idol worship. They are unfaithful to God and unfaithful to one another. And again, Hosea chapter 5 verse 3 also remind us that you have now turned to prostitution. This is a very strong word. And you know that in the past when we even mention about this word, we don't want to mention about this word because we can feel the shame and the guilt. And yet today the people call, "Go for it, go for it, go for prostitution." And as if that they don't have any concern anymore. As if that they don't feel ashamed to those words anymore. And exactly that was the situation of the Israelites as well as the world today. So the third thing is that they reject God and do not acknowledge God. And this leads them to the spiritual decline. Their deeds do not permit them to return to their God. A spirit of prostitution is in their heart, and they do not acknowledge the Lord. And this also happening in our world today, as it happened for thousands of years before. Number 4, they become arrogant, sinful, stubborn, and self-deceived. And the Bible said that pride goes before destruction. And this happened to the Israelites. They stumble in their sin. And Judah also stumbled with them. They become a stumbling block for other people. And other people just follow them and committed sin because of their arrogance, because of their sin, because of their stubbornness, because of their self-deception, and because of their pride. The number 5, the signs of spiritual decline among the Israelites. They have ritual without repentance. What does that mean? When they go with their flocks and herd to seek the Lord, they will not find Him, because He has withdrawn Himself from them. Because they come to God with formality. They came with the lip service, but their heart is far away from God. Number 6, they are unfaithful and they are also adulterous to God. Number 7, you see that they rely on human help or misplaced trust. They turn to Assyrian empire or emperor in order to help them instead of calling on the Lord. Ephraim is oppressed, tremble in judgment, intent on pursuing idols. I am like a moth to Ephraim, like rot to the people of Judah. When Ephraim saw his sicknesses and Judah his sores, then Ephraim turned to Assyria instead of turning to God. When they have problems, when they have issues, then they have sickness, when they have need. It's just like when they was in the wilderness. Every time they call upon the Lord, every time they do their own ways, they have problems, they have issues, they have calamity, they have sicknesses. They was being punished to death. But every time they come back to God, the deliverance take place, the healing take place, the providence take place. But how surprising it is that many times that we are in the modern world, we are always also like that. We want to rely on human networks rather than God. Number 8, they walk away from the presence of God. And this is intentionally and willingly they walk away from the presence of God. And because of that, they are promised with the discipline and with the punishment. So those are at least the 8 things that we can learn from the Israelites.